Kellen Ward was a billionaire the world envied, but that night, sitting alone in a restaurant glowing with Christmas lights, he felt smaller than he had in years. His date had just rejected him before even sitting down, called him emotionally unavailable, told him he wasn't what she was looking for, and for the first time, all the money in the world couldn't stop Kellen from feeling painfully alone. But then, a little girl in a red velvet dress walked up to his table, looked him straight in the eyes and said, "You look really sad. Did someone leave you?" Kellen didn't know it yet, but that tiny question from that tiny stranger was about to change his entire life. Before we dive into this story, tell us where in the world you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe to support us here on the channel. Let me take you back to where it all started. Kellen Ward stared at his reflection in the restaurant window and barely recognized himself. The world knew him as a billionaire investor, the man behind half the city's skyline. Tonight, he just felt small. He tugged at his sweater collar. His assistant told him to dress casual. "She thinks you're just a regular guy," they'd said. "No company names, no private jets, just Kellen." He agreed because secretly he wanted that. To be seen as a person, not a headline. The restaurant glowed with Christmas lights. Couples laughed at tables, friends clinked glasses. A tree in the corner sparkled with white ornaments. Holiday music played softly through hidden speakers. He checked his watch. 7 minutes past meeting time. It was fine. Traffic, makeup, nerves. People ran late. He picked up the small box in his hand, thumb brushing the gold ribbon. Not a ring, just a simple silver bracelet he'd chosen carefully. A symbol of possibility. His phone buzzed. A text from his friend who set this up. "She's almost there. Be yourself. You've got this." Kellen exhaled slowly. The last woman he dated left after 3 months. Said he was emotionally unavailable. Said he worked too much. Said he was still stuck in the past. Maybe she was right. But tonight felt different. This woman didn't know about his money. Didn't know about the penthouse or the private accounts. She knew a version of him that existed only on paper. Interests, hobbies, favorite movies. The hostess walked toward him with a bright smile. "Mr. Ward, your date just arrived." His heart kicked up. He stood smoothing invisible wrinkles from his sweater. A woman in a deep red dress approached. Confident, polished, beautiful. She matched the picture his friend sent. She stopped at the table, studying him. "Kellen?" she asked. "Yes. It's good to—" She interrupted with a small laugh. "Wow, you really are exactly what they said." He frowned slightly. "What did they say?" She glanced around, then leaned in. "Look, I'm sure you're fine, but my friend told me you're emotionally unavailable, work-obsessed, and still hung up on someone from your past." His stomach dropped. "I don't do projects," she continued. "I don't do men trying to fix themselves with relationships." He blinked, stunned. "You haven't even sat down." "I don't need to," she said gently. "I can see it in your eyes." His throat tightened. "I hope you find what you're looking for," she added, already turning away. "But it's not me, especially not at Christmas." She walked toward the exit, perfume fading behind her. Kellen stood there alone. Rejection rang louder than the carols. The hostess pretended not to notice. Other diners glanced over, then quickly looked away. He sank slowly back into his chair, staring at the empty seat across from him. The gift box sat on the table, mocking him. He'd imagined this going differently. Nervous, laughter, awkward questions, a spark of something real. Instead, he got diagnosed like a medical report and dismissed. A server approached carefully. "Would you still like to see the menu, sir?" Kellen almost said no. Almost left. But walking out now felt like defeat. "Yes," he replied quietly. I'll stay. The server nodded and left. Kellen stared at the second unused glass. He picked up his phone, reading messages he didn't want to answer. For a moment he wished he wasn't rich, wasn't known, wasn't anything special, just someone worth a chance. He blinked away the sting in his eyes. Lonely at the top wasn't just a phrase. It was his life. Kellen ordered food he didn't want. The server brought water, bread, a menu he pretended to read. Around him, the restaurant buzzed with life. A couple 2 tables over fed each other dessert. A family sang Happy Birthday off-key. Christmas music played through it all. He felt invisible. His phone buzzed again. Work emails, board meeting reminders. Investors asking about year-end projections. He ignored all of it. The food arrived. He took 1 bite and set his fork down. Across the restaurant, near the kitchen door, a little girl in a red dress swung her legs under her chair. She held a worn teddy bear and watched the room with curious eyes. Her mother sat across from her, wearing a simple black dress. She looked tired, but smiled at something her daughter said. Kellen noticed them briefly, then looked away. He pulled out the small gift box again, turned it over in his hands. The bracelet inside cost more than most people made in a month, but it felt worthless now. Emotionally unavailable. The words replayed in his head. Maybe she was right. Maybe everyone who left him was right. Maybe he was broken in ways money couldn't fix. His assistant had been excited about tonight. This is good for you, Kellen. You need to connect with people again. He tried. He really did. But every time he got close to someone, they either wanted his money or ran from his past. He thought about leaving, going home to his penthouse, pouring expensive whiskey he wouldn't taste, staring at the city lights until exhaustion finally pulled him under. The little girl in the red dress laughed at something. The sound cut through the restaurant noise like a bell. Kellen glanced over again. She was pointing at the Christmas tree, saying something to her mother. Her mother smiled, but Kellen saw the exhaustion in her eyes, the kind that came from working too hard for too little. He recognized that look. His own mother had it before she left when he was 10. Said she couldn't do it anymore. Said his father's money didn't make up for his absence. Kellen grew up alone in a mansion with rotating staff and empty chairs at dinner tables. He swore he'd be different. But here he was, 42 years old. Successful beyond measure, eating alone on Christmas season because nobody wanted to stay. The server returned. Can I get you anything else, sir? Kellen shook his head. Just the check. Of course. He paid in cash, leaving a tip that would cover the server's rent. It was the only thing he knew how to do anymore. Throw money at problems and hope it meant something. He stood to leave. That's when the little girl looked directly at him. Their eyes met across the restaurant. She tilted her head, studying him with the kind of honesty only children had. Then she slid off her chair. Her mother reached for her. Sky, where are you going? But the girl was already walking toward him, teddy bear clutched tight. Kellen froze. She stopped right in front of his table. You look really sad, she said. Her voice was small but certain. Kellen's breath caught. Do I? She nodded. Like your heart is heavy. He didn't know what to say. This child, this stranger, saw through him in seconds. Did someone leave you? She asked. Kellen swallowed hard. Yes. She considered this seriously. That happens to my mom sometimes too. Her mother rushed over, face flushed with panic. Sky, baby, you can't just walk up to people. But Sky didn't move. She looked up at Kellen with eyes that held no judgment, only curiosity. And somehow, that changed everything. The woman reached for her daughter's shoulder gently. I'm so sorry. She wasn't supposed to bother you. Kellen shook his head. She's not bothering me. The woman looked uncertain. She was younger than him, maybe early 30s. Her name tag said Imani in small letters. She worked here. Sky, we talked about this, Imani said softly. You can't just approach guests. But he's sad, Mama, Sky replied. Someone should help him. Kellen felt something crack in his chest. Imani's eyes met his. I really am sorry. It's been a long day and she's observant, Kellen finished. She's observant. Sky nodded seriously. I see things. Imani sighed. That's the problem. Kellen almost smiled. It's okay. Really? Sky looked between them. Can we sit with you? Sky! Imani's face flushed deeper. What? He's alone. We're alone. It makes sense. Kellen surprised himself. You can, if you want. Imani hesitated. We don't want to intrude on your evening. He glanced at the empty chair, the untouched gift box, the half-eaten meal. There's nothing to intrude on. Something in his voice made Imani pause. She recognized that tone, the one that came from loss, not choice. Please, Mama, Sky whispered. Imani looked at her daughter, then back at Kellen. Against every instinct telling her to stay in her lane, to not cross boundaries between staff and guests, she nodded. Just for a few minutes, she said. Sky climbed into the empty chair immediately. Imani sat beside her, posture stiff, clearly uncomfortable. I'm Sky, the girl announced. This is my mama, Imani. And this is Mr. Buttons. She held up the teddy bear. Kellen's throat felt tight. I'm Kellen. Huh, that's a nice name, Sky said. Why were you eating alone? Sky, Imani warned. But Kellen answered. Someone was supposed to meet me. They decided not to stay. Sky frowned. Why? They said I wasn't what they were looking for. Sky thought about this. That's mean. Kellen shrugged. Maybe they were right. No, Sky said firmly. If someone leaves before they even know you, that's their mistake, not yours. Imani's eyes widened. Where did her 8-year-old learn to say things like that? Kellen stared at the child. You're very wise. My daddy used to say that, Sky replied. Her voice got quieter. Before he went to heaven. The table went silent. Imani touched her daughter's hand. Baby, you don't have to. It's okay, Mama, Sky said. I like talking about him. Kellen felt his heart squeeze. When did he pass? Last Christmas, Sky said. He got really sick. He promised he'd be there for presents, but he didn't wake up. Imani's jaw tightened, fighting tears. Kellen didn't know what to say. What could anyone say to that? I'm sorry, he managed. Sky nodded. Me too. Mama's still sad. She thinks I don't see it, but I do. Imani looked away, blinking rapidly. Kellen saw it then. The exhaustion wasn't just from work. It was from grief, from carrying a child's questions she couldn't answer, from smiling through pain so her daughter wouldn't worry. I lost someone too, Kellen said quietly. A long time ago. Imani looked back at him. Did it stop hurting? Sky asked. Kellen considered lying, giving her the answer adults usually gave children, but something about her honesty demanded his own. No, he admitted. But you learned to carry it differently. Sky nodded like she understood. Imani's expression softened. She saw him now, not as a guest, not as someone above her station, as someone who knew what it felt like to lose. So you're sad and we're sad, Sky said. That means we match. Kellen's lips twitched. I guess it does. Then we should be friends, Sky decided. Just like that. Simple. Final. Decided. Kellen looked at this little girl in her red dress with her worn teddy bear and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Chosen. A server walked by and paused, noticing Imani sitting at a guest table. His expression tightened. Imani saw it and started to stand. "We should go." "Why?" Sky asked. "Because I'm working, baby. I shouldn't be sitting with guests." Kellen spoke before thinking. "You're not working right now. You're on break." Imani blinked. "I'm not on break." "You are now," Kellen said. He looked at the server. "She's taking her break, with me." The server hesitated, glanced between them, then nodded stiffly and walked away. Imani stared at Kellen. "You didn't have to do that." "I know," he said. She sat back down slowly, unsure what to make of him. Sky swung her legs happily. "See, Mama? He's nice." Imani didn't respond. She'd met nice men before, men who smiled until things got complicated, until they realized single mothers came with responsibilities they didn't want. "So," Sky said, looking at Kellen, "what do you do?" Kellen paused. He could tell the truth. Say he owned buildings, ran companies, made decisions that moved millions, but that would change everything. "I work with investments," he said carefully. "What's that?" "I help people manage money." Sky nodded, like that made sense. "Do you like it?" No one ever asked him that. "Sometimes," he admitted. "It's complicated." "Why?" "Because money solves some problems but creates others." Sky tilted her head. "Like what?" "Like people treating you differently when they find out you have it." Imani's eyes flickered. She understood that, just from the other side. "That's dumb," Sky said. "Money doesn't make you nice or mean. You just are what you are." Kellen smiled. "You're right." "I know," Sky said matter-of-factly. Imani finally spoke. "Sky has strong opinions about fairness." "I can tell," Kellen said. Sky pulled a small notebook from her pocket. It was wrinkled and held together with a rubber band. She opened it and showed Kellen a drawing. 3 stick figures holding hands, a smaller one in the middle. "That's me and Mama," she explained, pointing. "And that's my daddy." Kellen's throat tightened. "I draw him so I don't forget," Sky said simply. Imani's hand trembled slightly on the table. Kellen looked at the drawing, at the careful way Sky had drawn each figure, the way she'd connected their hands. "He looks happy," Kellen said. Sky smiled. "He was. He laughed a lot." "What else do you remember about him?" Sky thought hard. "He made Mama laugh too, and he always said, 'I love you' before bed, even when he was too tired to read stories." Imani wiped her eyes quickly. Kellen felt something shift inside him. He'd spent years running from emotion, building walls, staying safe behind money and distance. But sitting here with this grieving child and her exhausted mother, he realized something. Safety wasn't the same as living. "Can I tell you something?" Sky asked suddenly. "Of course," Kellen said. She looked at him seriously. "I asked God for something tonight." "What did you ask for?" "I asked him to send someone to help Mama stop being sad." Kellen's breath caught. Sky studied his face carefully. "And then you were here, looking sad too." Imani's eyes widened. "Sky," but Sky kept going. "So maybe God sent you to us, or us to you. I don't know which, but maybe it's the same thing." Kellen stared at this 8-year-old who spoke with the clarity of someone much older. "Maybe it is," he whispered. Imani looked at him, something unspoken passing between them. Fear. Hope. The terrifying possibility that this random encounter meant more than coincidence. Sky grabbed Mr. Buttons and hugged him tight. "I'm glad we found you," she said. Kellen's voice cracked. "Me too." And for the first time all night, he meant it. They sat together for another 20 minutes. Sky talked about school, about the Christmas play she was in, about how she wanted a puppy but their apartment didn't allow pets. Kellen listened to every word. Imani watched him carefully. Most people glazed over when children talked too much. But Kellen leaned in, asked questions, remembered details. It made her nervous. "What's your favorite thing about Christmas?" Sky asked him. Kellen thought about it. "Honestly, I don't have one anymore." "Why not?" "I usually spend it alone." Sky's face fell. "That's really sad." "It's okay, I'm used to it." "Being used to sad doesn't make it better," Sky said. Imani touched her daughter's hand. "Sky, that's enough questions." But Sky wasn't done. She looked at Kellen with an intensity that made him feel seen in a way he hadn't been in years. "Can I ask you something important?" she said. "Sure," Kellen replied. Sky glanced at her mother, then back at him. She took a breath like she was gathering courage for something huge. "My daddy's gone," she began slowly. "And Mama works really hard, but she's lonely. I see it even when she smiles." Imani's breath caught. "Sky, and you're lonely too," Sky continued. "I can tell." Kellen nodded slowly. "I am." Sky squeezed Mr. Buttons tighter. Her next words came out quieter, more vulnerable. "Can you be my new dad?" The restaurant noise disappeared. Everything stopped. Kellen stared at her, unable to speak. Imani's face went pale. "Sky, you can't just—" But Sky's eyes stayed locked on Kellen. Waiting. Hopeful. Terrified. "I know that's really big," she whispered. "And maybe it's weird to ask, but I feel safe with you. Like how I felt with my daddy." Kellen's heart hammered in his chest. No one had ever asked him for anything like this. People wanted his money, his connections, his influence. But this child wanted him. Just him. Imani stood quickly. "I'm so sorry. She doesn't understand what she's asking." "Yes, I do," Sky said, tears forming in her eyes. "I know Daddy's not coming back. I know that. But it still hurts, and Mama still cries when she thinks I'm asleep, and I just want—" Her voice broke. Kellen felt something crack wide open inside him. He knelt down beside her chair so they were eye level. "Sky," he said gently, "that's the bravest thing anyone's ever asked me." She wiped her eyes. "Is that a no?" "It's not a no," he said carefully. "But it's a really big question. And I need to be honest with you." She nodded, waiting. "I don't know if I'd be good at it," he admitted. "I never had a dad who showed me how." "Me neither now," Sky whispered. Kellen's throat burned. "But if you're asking if I want to try, if you're asking if I'd like to be in your life—" "I am," she said. He looked up at Imani. She stood frozen, tears streaming down her face, one hand covering her mouth. "Then yes," Kellen said quietly. "I'd like that." Sky launched forward and hugged him around the neck. He caught her instinctively, holding this small, trembling child who'd just asked him the one question that terrified and healed him at the same time. Imani sank back into her chair, overwhelmed. People at nearby tables stared. The server who'd been watching stood in the corner, confused. But none of it mattered, because in the middle of a restaurant on a night when Kellen thought he'd lost everything, a little girl in a red dress asked him to be her father, and he said yes. Not because he knew what he was doing, but because for the first time in his life, someone wanted him for reasons money couldn't buy. Sky pulled back, smiling through tears. "Really? Really?" Kellen whispered. She hugged Mr. Buttons. "See, I told you God would send someone." Kellen looked at Imani. She stared back, terrified and hopeful in equal measure. "We should talk," she said shakily. "Yes," he agreed, "we should." Because what just happened changed all three of their lives, and none of them knew what came next. Imani pulled Sky gently to the side. "Baby, go wash your hands. I need to talk to Kellen alone for a minute." Sky hesitated. You're not going to tell him to leave, are you? No, Imani said softly. I just need to talk to him. Adult to adult. Sky looked at Kellen. Promise you'll be here when I get back. I promise, he said. She nodded and walked toward the restroom, clutching Mr. Buttons. The moment she was out of earshot, Imani turned to Kellen. Her expression had shifted. The softness was gone. What are you doing? She asked quietly. I'm not sure I understand. You just told my daughter you'd be her father, Imani said. Do you have any idea what that means to her? Kellen met her eyes. I think I do. No, you don't, Imani said, voice shaking. You don't know what it's like watching your child grieve. Watching her ask why Daddy didn't wake up. Why God took him. Why everyone else has two parents and she only has one. Her words came faster now. She's been through hell this year. She had nightmares for months. Stopped eating. Stopped talking. For weeks, I've fought so hard to help her feel safe again. Kellen stayed quiet, letting her speak. And now you, a stranger, walk into our lives for 20 minutes, and she asks you to replace her father? Imani's voice cracked. Do you understand how desperate that makes her sound? How much that breaks my heart? I didn't mean to. I know you didn't, Imani interrupted, but that doesn't change what just happened. Kellen swallowed hard. You're right. I should have thought before I answered. Yes, you should have. Silence hung between them. But I meant it, Kellen said quietly. Imani stared at him. You don't even know us. I know, he said. But I know what it's like to grow up lonely. I know what it's like to wish someone would show up and stay. Imani's jaw tightened. This isn't about fixing your childhood. I'm not trying to fix anything, Kellen said. I'm just saying I understand what she's asking for. And what happens when you get bored? Imani asked. When reality sets in and you realize single mothers come with complications? When it's not cute anymore? Kellen flinched. That's not fair. Fair? Imani's eyes flashed. You want to talk about fair? It's not fair that my daughter lost her father. It's not fair that I work 3 jobs to keep us afloat. It's not fair that she's so starved for male attention that she asked a stranger to be her dad. Her voice broke on the last word. Kellen felt the weight of everything she carried. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't protect her, Imani said. I do. And I won't let anyone hurt her again. Not even someone with good intentions. I don't want to hurt her, Kellen said. Neither did her father, Imani whispered, but he still left. The words hit like a punch. Kellen understood then. This wasn't about him. This was about every person who'd ever left them, every promise that got broken, every hope that died. What do you want me to do? He asked. Imani looked toward the restroom where Sky had gone. I don't know. Do you want me to leave? She hesitated. Part of me does. And the other part? Imani's eyes filled with tears. The other part is terrified that if you leave now, it'll break her. Kellen stepped closer carefully. Then tell me what you need. I need to know you're serious, Imani said. I need to know this isn't some billionaire savior fantasy. Kellen froze. How did you... Your watch costs more than my rent, Imani said flatly. Your shoes are custom. You tipped that server $200 for bringing water? He looked down, caught. So, before my daughter gets more attached, Imani continued, I need to know if you're actually willing to show up. Not just tonight, not just when it's convenient, but when it's hard, when it's messy, when it's real. Kellen met her eyes. I am, he said. Prove it, Imani replied. Sky emerged from the restroom, smiling when she saw them still talking. See, she said. You didn't leave. Kellen's heart squeezed. No, he said. I didn't. Imani watched him carefully, walls still up but cracking just slightly. "We should exchange numbers," she said quietly. It wasn't trust, but it was a start. They exchanged numbers outside the restaurant. The night air was cold, their breath visible in small clouds. Sky held both their hands, swinging between them like a bridge. "When can we see you again?" she asked Kellen. Imani tensed. "Sky, we just met him. He has his own life." "Actually," Kellen said, "I'm free tomorrow, if that works for you." Imani blinked. "Tomorrow? Too soon?" he asked. She studied his face, looking for cracks, for signs this was performative, but his eyes were steady. "We usually go to the park on Sundays," Sky offered. "The one with the big slide." Kellen looked at Imani. Would that be okay? She wanted to say no, wanted to slow this down, but Sky's grip on her hand tightened with hope. "Okay," Imani said carefully. 1 o'clock. Miller Park. "I'll be there," Kellen said. Sky beamed. A taxi pulled up. Imani had called it earlier. She couldn't afford it regularly, but tonight felt too heavy to wait for the bus. "That's us," Imani said. Sky hugged Kellen suddenly. "Thank you for not leaving." He hugged her back, throat tight. "Thank you for asking." She climbed into the taxi with Mr. Buttons. Imani paused at the door. "If you change your mind," she said quietly, "tell me before tomorrow. Don't just not show up." "I'll be there," Kellen promised. She nodded and got in. The taxi pulled away. Kellen stood on the sidewalk, watching the taillights disappear. His phone buzzed. His assistant. "How'd the date go?" He stared at the message, then typed back. It didn't. But something else happened. 3 dots appeared, then stopped, then appeared again. Good something or bad something? Kellen looked at the contact he'd just saved. Imani. And below it, a note he'd added himself. Sky's mom. "I don't know yet," he typed, "but it's important." He walked to his car, a black sedan he'd driven himself tonight instead of using a driver. The leather interior felt too clean, too untouched. Everything in his life felt that way. He drove home in silence, no music, just the hum of the engine and his thoughts. When he reached his penthouse, he stood at the window overlooking the city. Thousands of lights. Thousands of lives. Somewhere out there, Sky was probably asking her mother 100 questions, and Imani was probably lying awake, wondering if she'd made a terrible mistake. Kellen pulled out his phone and opened a new message to Imani. He typed, "I meant what I said tonight." He hesitated, then added, "I know you don't trust me yet. That's okay. I'll earn it." He hit send before he could overthink it. 3 minutes passed. Then his phone buzzed. "We'll see." It wasn't warm. It wasn't encouraging. But it wasn't a door slammed shut either. Kellen exhaled slowly. Tomorrow. He had to show up tomorrow. Not as a billionaire. Not as someone trying to fix his loneliness. But as someone willing to be present. He set an alarm for early. Researched the park. Checked the weather. Then he did something he hadn't done in years. He prayed. Not formal. Not rehearsed. Just honest. "I don't know what I'm doing," he whispered into the empty room. "But if this is real, if she really needs me, don't let me mess it up." The city lights blinked back at him. No answers. Just possibility. He went to bed that night, and for the first time in months, he didn't feel the crushing weight of being alone. He felt something else. Responsibility. Purpose. Fear. Hope. All at once. Somewhere across town, Sky climbed into bed, clutching Mr. Buttons. "Mama?" "Yes, baby." "Do you think he'll really come tomorrow?" Imani tucked the blanket around her daughter. "I don't know." "I think he will," Sky said. "Why?" "Because he looked at me the way Daddy used to. Like I mattered. Imani's throat tightened. You do matter. I know, but some people forget to see it. Imani kissed her forehead. Get some sleep. Sky closed her eyes, smiling faintly. Imani sat on the edge of the bed, watching her daughter's breathing slow. She pulled out her phone and read Kellen's message again. I'll earn it. She wanted to believe him, but she'd believed before, and belief had left her alone with a grieving child and a stack of unpaid bills. Tomorrow would tell her what she needed to know. If Kellen showed up, maybe he was different. If he didn't, she'd protect her daughter the way she always had. Alone. Kellen woke up at 6 in the morning. He couldn't sleep. His mind kept replaying the night before. Sky's question, Imani's warning, the weight of what he'd agreed to. He made coffee he didn't drink, checked his phone every 10 minutes. The park meeting wasn't until 1. He had 7 hours. At 8, his assistant called. You're up early, Marcus said. Everything okay? Yeah, Kellen replied. Just thinking. About what? Kellen hesitated. I met someone last night. The blind date? I thought she canceled. She did. I met someone else. A kid. Silence on the other end. A kid? Marcus repeated carefully. Her name is Sky. She's 8. She asked me to be her father. More silence. Kellen? What the hell are you talking about? He explained everything. The rejection. The girl in the red dress. The question that changed his night. Marcus listened without interrupting. So let me get this straight, Marcus said finally. A random child asked you to replace her dead father and you said yes? When you say it like that, it sounds insane. Because it is insane. Kellen rubbed his face. I know. Do you? Marcus asked. Because this isn't buying someone dinner or writing a check. This is a kid. Kids need consistency, stability, not someone experimenting with feelings. I'm not experimenting. Then what are you doing? Kellen didn't have an answer. Look, Marcus said softer now. I know you've been lonely. I know last night hurt. But don't make life-changing decisions because you're feeling vulnerable. This isn't about me being vulnerable. Isn't it? Kellen's jaw tightened. I'm meeting them at the park today, 1 o'clock. Marcus sighed. And if you don't like it? If it's awkward or too much? What then? Then I'll figure it out. That's not good enough for a kid who already lost one father. The words landed hard. I know, Kellen said quietly. That's why I won't bail. Marcus was quiet for a moment. You're serious about this? Yes. Then don't mess it up. I won't. They hung up. Kellen sat alone in his kitchen, staring at his reflection in the window. Was Marcus right? Was this just him running from loneliness into something equally destructive? His phone buzzed. A text from Imani. Sky's been talking about you since we got home. Please don't make me explain why you didn't come. His chest tightened. He typed back immediately. I'll be there, I promise. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No response. He spent the next 4 hours in a fog. Tried to work, couldn't focus, tried to eat, wasn't hungry. At noon, he got in his car. Traffic was light. He arrived 15 minutes early. Miller Park was busy. Families everywhere, kids on swings, parents pushing strollers, dogs chasing balls. He sat on a bench near the big slide and waited. 1 o'clock came. No sign of them. 1:05. Still nothing. His stomach twisted. Maybe Imani changed her mind. Maybe she realized this was a mistake. 1:10. He pulled out his phone to text her. Kellen. He looked up. Sky was running toward him, red jacket bright against the gray sky. Mr. Buttons tucked under her arm. Imani walked behind her, cautious but present. Kellen stood, heart pounding with relief. Sky crashed into him with a hug. You came. I told you I would, he said. She pulled back, grinning. I know, but Mama said grown-ups sometimes say things they don't mean. Kellen looked at Imani. She didn't apologize for the comment. Some do, Kellen said, but I'm not one of them. Sky grabbed his hand. Come on, I want to show you the swings. She dragged him forward. Imani followed a few steps behind, watching carefully. Kellen let Sky lead him across the playground. She talked non-stop, about school, about her teacher, about the Christmas play where she was an angel. Will you come watch? She asked. When is it? Next Friday, 7 o'clock. Kellen didn't hesitate. I'll be there. Sky's smile was blinding. Imani caught up to them at the swings. You don't have to commit to everything she asks. I know, Kellen said, but I want to. Imani studied him. Why? He looked at Sky, who was already climbing onto a swing. Because nobody showed up for me when I was her age, he said quietly. And I know what that feels like. Imani's expression softened, slightly. Push me, Sky called. Kellen walked over and pushed the swing gently. Sky laughed, leaning back as she rose higher. Imani stood off to the side, arms crossed, watching this stranger push her daughter on a swing like it was the most natural thing in the world, and for the first time since her husband died, she felt something she didn't expect. Hope. Fragile. Terrifying. But real. They spent 2 hours at the park. Sky showed Kellen everything. The tunnel slide. The monkey bars. The spot where she fell and scraped her knee last summer. He listened like every detail mattered. Imani sat on a bench nearby, pretending to scroll through her phone. But she was watching. Analyzing. Looking for red flags. So far, she hadn't found any. That scared her more than if she had. Eventually, Sky ran off to play with another girl near the sandbox. For the first time, Kellen and Imani were alone. He sat down beside her, keeping a respectful distance. She has a lot of energy, he said. Always has, Imani replied. Silence stretched between them. Can I ask you something? Kellen said. Sure. Why did you come today? Imani looked at him. Because Sky wanted to. That's the only reason? She hesitated. Mostly. What's the other part? Imani watched her daughter playing. I wanted to see if you'd actually show up. And now that I did? Now I need to see if you'll show up again, she said. And again after that. Kellen nodded. That's fair. It's not about fair, Imani said. It's about protecting her. I understand. Do you? Imani turned to face him. Because I don't think you realize what you're walking into. Then tell me. Imani took a breath. She has nightmares, at least twice a week. She wakes up crying for her dad. I hold her until she falls back asleep. Kellen listened quietly. She's scared of hospitals, Imani continued. Won't go near them. Last month she needed stitches, and it took 3 nurses to hold her down because she thought if she went in, she wouldn't come out. Her voice cracked slightly. She draws pictures of our family, but she always leaves a space empty. For him. She won't color it in because she says maybe he'll come back and fill it himself. Kellen's chest tightened. So when she asks you to be her dad, Imani said, she's not asking for someone to take her to parks. She's asking for someone to hold her when she cries, to prove that men don't always leave, to fill that empty space she's been saving. She looked at him directly. Can you do that? Kellen met her eyes. I don't know, but I want to try. Trying isn't enough. I know, he said, but it's all I can promise right now, that I'll show up, that I'll stay, that I won't run when it gets hard. Imani studied his face. Why do you even want this? You don't know us. You have your own life. My life is empty, Kellen said simply. I have money, success, everything people think matters. But I eat alone, sleep alone, wake up alone. He looked at Sky laughing in the sandbox. Last night she asked me for something nobody's ever asked me for. Not my money. Not my connections. Just me. And for the first time in years I felt like maybe I could matter to someone. Imani's expression softened slightly. I'm not trying to replace her father, Kellen added. I know I can't, but maybe I can be something. Someone who stays. And when you meet someone? Imani asked. When you fall in love and start your own family, where does that leave her? I don't know, Kellen admitted. But I won't abandon her. That's not who I am. How do I know that? You don't, he said. Not yet. But give me time to prove it. Imani looked away. Time is what breaks hearts. Or heals them, Kellen said quietly. Sky ran back over, breathless. Can we get ice cream? Imani checked her wallet mentally. She had enough for one cone. Maybe next time, baby, she said. I'll get it, Kellen offered. Imani's jaw tightened. We don't need... I know you don't need it, Kellen said gently. But I'd like to, if that's okay. Sky looked between them, sensing tension. Imani wanted to say no, wanted to keep the boundaries clear, but Sky's hopeful face made her relent. Okay, she said quietly. Thank you. They walked to an ice cream truck nearby. Sky ordered chocolate. Imani got vanilla. Kellen got nothing. You're not having any? Sky asked. I'm good, he said. They sat on the grass. Sky ate messily, getting ice cream on her nose. Kellen laughed and handed her a napkin. Imani watched them. She saw her daughter smile. Really smile. The kind of smile that had been missing for months. And despite every logical reason to stay guarded, despite every warning bell in her head, Imani felt her walls crack just a little more. Maybe Kellen was different, or maybe she was just desperate enough to hope he was. Either way, she was letting him in, one careful step at a time. The next Friday, Kellen sat in the school auditorium waiting for the Christmas play to start. He'd arrived 30 minutes early, the only adult without a spouse or family. Parents stared at him briefly, then looked away. He didn't care. He'd promised Sky he'd be here. The lights dimmed. Kids filed onto the stage in costumes, shepherds, wise men, angels with crooked halos. Sky was in the back row, wings slightly too big for her small frame. She scanned the audience nervously. When her eyes found him, her whole face lit up. She waved. He waved back. Imani sat 3 rows ahead of him. She'd texted earlier saying she had to work late but would try to make it. She arrived just as the curtain opened, slipping into a seat quickly. She glanced back and saw Kellen. Surprise flickered across her face, then something else. Relief, maybe. The play was chaotic. Kids forgot lines. One wise man tripped over his robe. A shepherd's fake beard fell off. Sky didn't have any speaking parts, but she stood perfectly still, hands clasped, taking her role seriously. Afterward, parents flooded the stage. Kids ran to their families, excited and loud. Sky pushed through the crowd straight to Kellen. You came, she said, breathless. Of course I did. Did you see me? I didn't mess up. You were perfect, he said. Imani approached, holding a small bouquet of flowers she'd grabbed from the corner store. You did so good, baby. Sky beamed. Kellen came too. I saw, Imani said, looking at him. Thank you. I told her I would, Kellen said simply. A teacher walked over. Sky, your family is lovely. Are these your parents? Sky's smile faltered. This is my mom, and this is... She stopped, unsure what to call him. The teacher waited. Kellen knelt down to Sky's level. You can call me whatever feels right. Sky looked at her mom, then back at him. This is Kellen. He's my friend. Special friend, she added quickly. The teacher smiled politely and moved on, but the moment lingered. Later, outside the school, Sky held both their hands again as they walked to the parking lot. Can we get hot chocolate? She asked. Imani checked the time. It's late, baby. School tomorrow. Please, just for a little bit? Imani looked at Kellen. He stayed quiet, letting her decide. Okay, Imani said. 1 cup. Then home. They went to a small diner nearby. Sky ordered hot chocolate with extra marshmallows. Imani got coffee. Kellen ordered the same. Sky talked non-stop about the play, about how nervous she was, about how one girl forgot her lines and cried backstage. But I helped her, Sky said proudly. I told her it was okay, that everyone makes mistakes. Kellen smiled. That was kind of you. My dad used to say being kind is more important than being perfect. The table went quiet. Sky stirred her hot chocolate, suddenly somber. I wish he could have seen the play. Imani's hand tightened around her cup. He would have been proud, Kellen said gently. Sky looked up. You think so? I know so. How do you know? Because any father would be proud of you. Sky's eyes glistened. Even though I messed up my halo, it kept falling. Even then, Kellen said. She smiled faintly, then looked at her mom. Mama, are you proud? Always, Imani whispered. Sky turned to Kellen. Are you proud? The question hit him square in the chest. Yes, he said, voice thick. Very proud. Sky's smile returned fully. They finished their drinks. The diner was nearly empty now. Outside, snow started falling lightly. Sky pressed her face against the window. It's snowing. We should get you home before it gets worse, Imani said. In the parking lot, Sky hugged Kellen tightly. Thank you for coming. Any time, he said. She pulled back. Will you come to my birthday? It's in 2 weeks. Kellen looked at Imani. She hesitated, then nodded slightly. I'll be there, he said. Promise? Promise. Sky climbed into Imani's car, waving through the window as they pulled away. Kellen stood in the snow, watching them leave. His phone buzzed, a text from Imani. You didn't have to come tonight, but thank you. It meant everything to her. He typed back. It meant something to me too. She didn't respond, but he didn't need her to. He drove home that night feeling lighter than he had in years, because for the first time someone was counting on him, and he hadn't let them down. Not yet. But the real test was coming. Staying wasn't about showing up once or twice. It was about showing up when things got hard, when the novelty wore off, when reality replaced possibility. Kellen knew that, and deep down, so did Imani. She wanted to trust him. But trust wasn't built in parking lots and diners. It was built in the months ahead, in the moments when leaving would be easier than staying. That's when she'd know if Kellen was real, or just another man who made promises he couldn't keep. 2 weeks passed faster than Kellen expected. He saw them 4 more times. Once at the park again. Once for pizza. Once when Sky's school had a parent-teacher conference and Imani's shift ran late. That last one surprised him. Imani called, voice tight with stress. I know this is asking too much, but I'm stuck at work and Sky's conference is in 20 minutes. Is there any way? I'm already on my way, Kellen said. You don't even know where the school is. Text me the address. He made it with 5 minutes to spare. Sky's teacher, Mrs. Chen, looked confused when he walked in. I was expecting Sky's mother. She got held up at work. I'm Kellen. I'm helping out. Mrs. Chen studied him briefly, then nodded. All right. Well, Sky is doing wonderfully. Her reading has improved significantly. She went through Sky's progress, showed him her work, mentioned she was quiet sometimes but kind to other students. She talks about you, Mrs. Chen added, says you're teaching her chess. Kellen had taught her basics last weekend. She wasn't good yet, but she loved it. She's a quick learner, he said. She also mentioned her father passed last year. Kellen nodded. Yes. Mrs. Chen's expression softened. It's good she has people showing up for her. That matters more than people realize. When he left, he texted Imani. Conference went great. She's doing really well. Imani called immediately. Thank you. Seriously. I owe you. You don't owe me anything. Kellen, I wanted to be there, he said simply. Silence on her end. I'm sorry I keep testing you, she said quietly. You're protecting your daughter. I'd be worried if you weren't. She exhaled. Her birthday is Saturday. Are you still coming? Yes. It's just going to be small. Our apartment, a few kids from school, nothing fancy. That's perfect. Another pause. You don't have to bring a gift. Your being there is enough. I'll bring something small, Kellen said. Kellen, something small, he repeated. I promise. Saturday came. Kellen stood outside Imani's apartment building, holding a gift bag. Inside was a chess set. Nothing expensive. Just a simple wooden one he thought Sky would like. He knocked. Imani opened the door. She wore jeans and a sweater. Her hair was pulled back. She looked tired but softer than usual. You're early, she said. Wanted to help set up if you need it. She stepped aside. Come in. The apartment was small, lived in, toys in the corner, dishes drying by the sink, pictures of Sky and her father on the walls. Kellen saw one photo in particular, a man holding a baby Sky, both of them laughing. That's Marcus, Imani said quietly. Her dad. Kellen studied the photo. He looks happy. He was. Imani's voice was barely above a whisper. He loved being a father. It's all he ever wanted. Sky talks about him often. I know, I'm glad she does. I don't want her to forget. Kellen looked at her. She won't. And neither will you. Imani's eyes welled up. She turned away quickly. I should finish the cake. Sky burst out of her room wearing a birthday crown made of paper. Kellen! She ran to him and hugged his waist. Happy birthday, he said. Did you bring Mr. Buttons a crown too? He laughed. I didn't think of that. It's okay. We can make one. She dragged him to the table where craft supplies were scattered. Imani watched them make a tiny crown for the teddy bear, watched Kellen fold paper carefully, letting Sky direct every step. Other kids arrived. Chaos filled the apartment. Games. Cake. Laughter. Kellen stayed in the background mostly, helping where needed, refilling drinks, taking pictures, cleaning up spills. At one point, a mother asked Imani, Is that your husband? Imani froze. No, he's a friend. The woman looked at Kellen, then back at Imani. He's good with kids. Yeah, Imani said softly. He is. Later, after everyone left, Sky opened presents. She squealed at the chess set. Now we can play for real, she said. We'll start tomorrow, Kellen promised. She hugged him tightly. This is the best birthday. Imani walked him to the door later. Sky was already falling asleep on the couch, crown crooked on her head. Thank you for today, Imani said. I had fun. She looked at him carefully. You really mean that, don't you? Yes. Why? She asked. Most people would find this boring. A kid's birthday party in a cramped apartment. Kellen thought about his own childhood birthdays, catered events, hired entertainers, kids who came for the gifts, not for him. Because this is real, he said, and I haven't had real in a long time. Imani's guard lowered just a fraction more. She's getting attached to you, she warned. I know. So am I, Imani admitted quietly. Kellen's breath caught. That terrifies me, she added. Me too, he said. They stood there, the weight of what was happening settling between them. Good night, Kellen, Imani said softly. Good night. He left, but something had shifted. They weren't just strangers anymore. They were becoming something else, something neither of them knew how to name yet. But it was there, growing, fragile, real. 3 days after the birthday party, Imani called Kellen at 11 at night. He answered immediately. "Hello? I'm sorry to call so late." Her voice was shaking. "It's Sky. She's having a nightmare and she's asking for you." Kellen was already grabbing his keys. "I'm on my way." "You don't have to. What's your address again?" She gave it to him. He made it in 15 minutes. Imani opened the door before he could knock. Her eyes were red. "She won't calm down," Imani whispered. "She keeps saying she can't breathe." Kellen heard crying from the bedroom. "Can I go in?" he asked. Imani nodded. He walked to Sky's room. She was curled on her bed, clutching Mr. Buttons, sobbing. "Sky?" he said gently. She looked up, face wet with tears. "Kellen?" "I'm here." She reached for him. He sat on the edge of her bed and she climbed into his lap, shaking. "I dreamed Daddy was leaving again," she cried, "and I tried to stop him, but he wouldn't stay." Kellen held her carefully. "That sounds really scary." "It was. And then you left too. And Mama. And I was alone." Her sobs came harder. "I'm not leaving," Kellen said quietly. "I'm right here." "Promise?" "Promise." She clung to him tighter. "My chest hurts." "That's because you're scared. Let's breathe together, okay?" He showed her how to breathe slowly. In through the nose, out through the mouth. She copied him, hiccuping through tears. They sat like that for 10 minutes. Slowly, her breathing steadied, her grip loosened. "Better?" he asked. She nodded against his chest. "Do you want to talk about it?" "I don't want people to leave me," she whispered. "Everyone always leaves." "Not everyone," Kellen said. "Daddy did. He didn't want to. But he still did." Her voice broke. "And what if you do too?" Kellen's throat tightened. "Sky, look at me." She lifted her head. "I can't promise nothing bad will ever happen," he said. "But I can promise I'm not going anywhere by choice. Do you understand?" She studied his face. "You mean it?" "I mean it." She hugged him again. "Can you stay until I fall asleep?" "Of course." He laid her back down, tucking the blanket around her. She held Mr. Buttons with one hand and reached for Kellen's hand with the other. "Tell me a story," she said quietly. "What kind?" "A happy one." Kellen thought for a moment. Then he started telling her about a little girl who was brave enough to talk to strangers, who asked big questions, who had a smile that could light up a whole room. Sky's eyes grew heavy. "Is that story about me?" she murmured. "Yes." "I like it." Within minutes, she was asleep. Kellen stayed for another 10, making sure she wouldn't wake. Then he carefully slipped his hand free and walked out. Imani was sitting on the couch, head in her hands. He sat beside her. "She's asleep." Imani looked up, eyes filled with tears. "Thank you. I didn't know what else to do." "You did the right thing calling me." "She's never asked for anyone but me before," Imani said. "Not since Marcus died." Kellen stayed quiet. "She's letting you in," Imani continued. "Really letting you in. And that terrifies me." "Why?" "Because if you leave, it'll destroy her." Kellen met her eyes. "I'm not leaving." "You say that now." "I mean it," he said firmly. "I know you don't fully trust me yet, but I'm not going anywhere." Imani's lip trembled. "How can you be so sure?" "Because I know what it's like to be that kid," Kellen said. "The one waiting for someone to stay. And I swore if I ever had the chance to be that person for someone else, I wouldn't walk away." A tear slipped down Imani's cheek. "What if you're too good to be true?" "I'm not," he said. "I'm just a guy who showed up. That's all." "That's everything," Imani whispered. They sat in silence for a moment. "Do you want coffee?" she asked finally. "Sure." She made 2 cups. They sat at her small kitchen table, speaking in low voices so they wouldn't wake Sky. "Can I ask you something?" Imani said. "Anything." "Why don't you have kids of your own?" Kellen looked into his cup. "Never met the right person. And honestly, I didn't think I'd be good at it." "You're good with Sky." "Sky makes it easy." Imani smiled faintly. "She does." "What about you?" Kellen asked. "Do you want more kids?" "I don't know. Maybe someday. If I ever meet someone who—" She trailed off. "Who what?" "Who stays?" she finished quietly. Their eyes met across the table. Something unspoken passed between them. Not a promise. Not yet. But the beginning of one. Kellen left an hour later. As he drove home, he realized something had changed tonight. This wasn't just about Sky anymore. It was about all 3 of them. Becoming something together, something fragile, something real, something worth protecting. The next morning, Kellen woke to a text from Sky. Imani must have let her use her phone. "Thank you for coming last night. Love, Sky." He stared at the word love for a long time. Then he texted back, "Anytime. Hope you slept better." 3 dots appeared immediately. "I did. Mama says you can come for dinner tonight if you want." Kellen smiled. He typed, "I'd like that." "What time?" 6. Mama's making spaghetti. "I'll be there." He went to work that day but couldn't focus. His assistant noticed. "You've checked your phone 12 times in an hour," Marcus said. "What's going on?" "Nothing." "Is this about that kid?" Kellen looked up. "Her name is Sky." Marcus raised his hands. "Okay, Sky, how's that going?" "Good, really good." "And the mom?" Kellen hesitated. "What about her?" "Come on, Kellen. You're spending all your free time with them. Are you interested in her or just the kid?" "Both," Kellen admitted. "Maybe. I don't know yet." Marcus sat down. "Be careful. This isn't just dating. You're walking into a ready-made family. That's complicated." "I know. Do you? Because if this doesn't work out, you're not just breaking up with a woman, you're abandoning a kid who already lost one father." "I'm not going to abandon her." "You don't know that," Marcus said. "What if you and the mom don't work out?" "What then?" Kellen didn't have an answer. Marcus softened. "Look, I'm not trying to be harsh. I just don't want you to hurt them. Or yourself." "Neither do I," Kellen said quietly. That evening, he showed up at Imani's apartment with flowers. Nothing expensive, just a small bouquet from the corner store. Imani opened the door, surprised. "You didn't have to bring anything." "I wanted to." She took them, a small smile on her face. "Thank you." Sky ran over. "Kellen, come see what I drew today." She pulled him to the table where papers covered every inch. Drawings of stick figures, families, houses. One had 3 people holding hands under a rainbow. "That's us," Sky said, pointing. "You, me, and Mama." Kellen's chest tightened. "It's beautiful." "I'm putting it on the fridge." She ran to grab a magnet. Imani stood beside him, arms crossed. "She draws you into everything now." "Is that okay?" he asked. "I don't know," she said honestly. "Part of me is grateful. Part of me is terrified." "Of what?" "Of her forgetting Marcus. Of her replacing him with you." Kellen turned to face her. "I'm not trying to replace him." "I know. But to her you're filling the space he left. And I don't know how to feel about that. Do you want me to pull back?" Imani looked at her daughter hanging the drawing on the fridge, beaming with pride. "No," she said quietly. "She needs this. Needs you." "What about you?" Kellen asked. "What do you need?" Imani met his eyes. "Honestly, I don't know anymore." Dinner was simple. Spaghetti, garlic bread, salad. They ate at the small table, Sky talking non-stop about school. Afterward, Kellen helped with dishes while Imani put Sky to bed. When she came back, she found him drying the last plate. "You don't have to do that," she said. "I don't mind." She leaned against the counter, watching him. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "What do you want from this?" she asked. "From us?" Kellen set the plate down. "I want to be here. However that looks." "That's vague." "I know." He turned to face her. "But I don't want to put pressure on something that's still figuring itself out." "So you're just..." "What? Playing house?" "No," he said firmly. "I'm showing up. Being present, hoping that's enough for now." Imani studied him. "And if I asked you to define this? To say what we are?" "What do you want us to be?" he asked. She looked away. "I don't know. I haven't thought about dating since Marcus died. Haven't wanted to. And now?" She met his eyes. "Now I'm confused. Because I like having you around. Sky loves you. But I don't know if I'm ready for what that means." Kellen stepped closer. "Then we don't have to define it. We just keep showing up. For her. For each other. And see where it goes." Imani's eyes glistened. "What if it goes nowhere?" "Then at least we tried." "And Sky?" "She'll still have me," Kellen said. "No matter what happens between us, I'm not walking away from her." Imani's breath hitched. "You can't promise that." "Yes, I can." They stood there, inches apart, the weight of everything unsaid pressing between them. "I want to believe you," Imani whispered. "Then believe me." She searched his face for lies, for cracks, for anything that would prove he was too good to be true. She found nothing. Just a man standing in her kitchen, promising to stay. "Okay," she said finally. "Okay? I'll try. To trust you. To let this happen." Kellen exhaled, relief washing over him. "Thank you," he said. Imani managed a small smile. "Don't make me regret it." "I won't." He left that night feeling like he'd just crossed an invisible line. They were no longer strangers, no longer just friends. They were something undefined, something fragile, something worth fighting for. A week later, Kellen got a call from Imani at 3 in the afternoon. Her voice was tight. "I need a favor, a big one." "What's wrong?" "My boss changed my schedule. I have to work tonight until midnight. Sky's babysitter canceled." Kellen didn't hesitate. "I'll watch her." "Kellen, it's 7 hours. I can't ask." "You're not asking. I'm offering." Silence. "Are you sure?" Imani asked. "Completely." She exhaled. "Okay, I'll drop her off at 6. Is that okay?" "Perfect." He spent the next 3 hours panicking. He'd never watched a kid alone before. What if she got hurt? What if something went wrong? He texted Marcus. "What do I do with an 8-year-old for 7 hours?" Marcus replied, "Movies, snacks, keep her alive, that's it." Helpful. At 6, Imani arrived with Sky and an overnight bag. "I packed her pajamas in case she falls asleep," Imani said. "Her toothbrush is in the side pocket. She needs to be in bed by 9. "Got it." "She doesn't like loud noises before bed, and if she has a nightmare, I'll handle it," Kellen said gently. Imani looked at him, worry clear in her eyes. "I've never left her with anyone except family before. She'll be safe, I promise." Sky tugged her mom's hand. "Mama, I'll be fine. Go to work." Imani knelt down. "You listen to Kellen, okay?" "I will. And if you need me, I'll call." Sky hugged her. "I love you. I love you too, baby." Imani left reluctantly, glancing back twice before disappearing down the hall. Kellen looked at Sky. "So, what do you want to do first?" "Can we order pizza?" "Absolutely." They ordered pizza and ate on the couch while watching a Tsimiya cartoon movie. Sky talked through most of it, explaining the plot even though Kellen was watching the same thing. "That's the part where she finds out she's magic," Sky said, pointing at the screen. I see that. Do you think magic is real? Maybe, in some ways. Mama says love is magic. Kellen smiled. Your mama is smart. After the movie, Sky wanted to play chess. She was getting better. Still made rookie mistakes, but she was learning. You're improving, Kellen said. You're just letting me win. I'm not, she grinned. Okay. At 8:30, he told her it was time to get ready for bed. She brushed her teeth and changed into her pajamas. When she came back, she climbed onto the couch beside him. Will you read to me? She asked. Of course. She handed him a worn book. This was my favorite when Daddy was here. Kellen opened it carefully. The pages were dog-eared and stained. Clearly loved. He read slowly, doing different voices for each character. Sky laughed at his attempts. Halfway through, she leaned her head against his shoulder. Kellen? Yeah? Do you think my daddy would like you? The question caught him off guard. I hope so. I think he would, Sky said quietly. You make Mama smile. She didn't smile for a long time. Kellen's throat tightened. She's been through a lot. So have you, Sky said. What makes you say that? Because you have sad eyes sometimes, like Mama. He didn't know what to say. But they're less sad now, Sky added. Since you met us. Kellen set the book down. You're very observant. I know, she yawned. I'm sleepy. Let's get you to bed. He carried her to his guest room. She climbed under the covers, clutching Mr. Buttons. Will you stay until I fall asleep? She asked. Of course. He sat in the chair beside the bed. She watched him with heavy eyes. Kellen? Yeah? I'm glad you said yes. Yes to what? When I asked if you could be my new dad. I'm glad you said yes. His heart clenched. Me too. She smiled faintly. Good night. Good night, Sky. Within minutes, she was asleep. Kellen stayed longer than necessary, watching her breathe evenly, face peaceful. He thought about what she'd said. About her father. About Imani's smile. About his sad eyes. This child saw things most adults missed. She saw him. Really saw him, and somehow that made him want to be better, to stay, to prove he was worth her faith. At midnight, Imani knocked softly. He opened the door. Hey, how'd it go? She whispered. Perfect. She's asleep. Imani walked to the guest room and looked in. Relief washed over her face. She turned back to Kellen. Thank you. Seriously. Any time. They stood in the hallway, close but not touching. She asked if her dad would like me, Kellen said quietly. Imani's eyes filled. What did you say? That I hoped so. He would have, Imani whispered. He would have loved how you are with her. Kellen's chest tightened. That means a lot. Imani stepped closer. You're really good at this. At being here. I'm just doing what feels right. That's what makes it good, she said softly. They looked at each other, something unspoken shifting between them. Not quite love, not yet, but close, so close. I should get her home, Imani said finally. Kellen helped carry the sleeping Sky to Imani's car. She didn't wake up, just shifted slightly in his arms. After they left, Kellen stood in his quiet apartment. For the first time in years, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt like possibility. Christmas was 2 weeks away. Kellen hadn't celebrated properly in years. Usually he worked through the holidays or traveled somewhere warm and alone. This year felt different. Sky talked about Christmas constantly. What she wanted. What she'd asked Santa for. Whether it would snow. One evening, Imani pulled him aside after Sky went to play in her room. I need to be honest with you about something, she said. Okay. Money's tight this year, really tight. I can afford a small gift for Sky, but nothing like what other kids get. Kellen started to speak, but she held up her hand. I'm not asking for help. I just need you to know so you don't go overboard. I don't want her thinking I can't provide for her." "I understand," Kellen said. "Do you? Because I've seen how you spend. You don't think twice about paying for things." "That's different." "Is it?" Imani asked. "Because to Sky it might not be. She might start expecting more than I can give." Kellen considered this. "What if we set a limit? I'll keep it small, reasonable." Imani looked uncertain. "I don't want to control what you do." "You're not. You're protecting your daughter. I respect that." She studied him. $50. That's the limit. Deal. I'm serious, Kellen. So am I. She relaxed slightly. "Thank you." Later that week, Kellen took Sky to a Christmas market while Imani worked. They walked through rows of booths selling ornaments, cookies, hot chocolate. Sky stopped at every display, eyes wide. "Look at that," she said, pointing to a snow globe with a little family inside. Kellen picked it up. "You like it?" "It's pretty, but it's probably expensive." He checked the tag. $12. "Do you want it?" he asked. She hesitated. "Mama says we can't buy everything we want." "That's true, but sometimes we can buy something special." Her eyes lit up. "Really?" "Really." He bought the snow globe. She carried it carefully, like it was made of diamonds. They got hot chocolate and sat on a bench. Sky swung her legs, sipping carefully so she wouldn't spill. "Kellen?" "Yeah?" "What are you doing for Christmas?" "I'm not sure yet." "Why? Do you have family?" "Not really. My parents passed away a long time ago." Sky frowned. "So you'll be alone?" "I'm used to it." "That's sad," she said. "You should come to our house." Kellen smiled. "That's up to your mom. She'll say yes. I know she will." That night, when he dropped Sky off, she ran inside yelling, "Mama! Kellen should come for Christmas." Imani appeared in the doorway. "Sky, you can't just invite people without asking." "But he doesn't have anyone," Sky said. Imani looked at Kellen. "Is that true?" He shrugged. "I usually spend it alone." "It's fine." "It's not fine," Sky insisted. "Nobody should be alone on Christmas." Imani bit her lip. "We're not doing anything fancy, just us, small dinner, a few gifts." "Sounds perfect," Kellen said. "You don't have to. I want to," he said, "if you'll have me." Imani's expression softened. "Okay, Christmas Eve, 6 o'clock. Sky cheered. Over the next 2 weeks, Kellen found himself looking forward to Christmas for the first time in years. He bought gifts carefully. A puzzle for Sky. A nice scarf for Imani. Nothing excessive. Nothing that would break the promise he made. He wrapped them himself, badly. The paper was crooked, and the tape showed. Marcus noticed the gifts in his office. "You're really doing this." "Doing what?" "Playing house. Pretending this is your family." Kellen looked up sharply. "I'm not pretending." "Then what are you doing?" "I'm being there for people who matter to me." Marcus sighed. "I hope you know what you're doing." "So do I," Kellen admitted. Christmas Eve came. Kellen stood outside Imani's apartment, holding the gifts, heart pounding. He'd negotiated million-dollar deals without breaking a sweat. But this, showing up to a small Christmas dinner with 2 people who'd let him into their lives, terrified him. He knocked. Sky opened the door wearing a red dress and reindeer antlers. "You're here." She hugged him immediately. Imani appeared behind her, wearing a simple green sweater. She looked nervous but smiled when she saw him. "Merry Christmas," she said softly. "Merry Christmas." He stepped inside. The apartment smelled like roasted chicken and cookies. A small tree stood in the corner, decorated with handmade ornaments. Under it were 3 gifts, one for Sky from Imani, one for Imani from Sky, and one Kellen didn't recognize. "Sky made that one for you," Imani said quietly. Kellen looked at her, then at Sky. "You made me a gift?" Sky nodded shyly. "It's not store-bought, but I made it myself." His throat tightened. "Can I open it now?" "After dinner," Imani said. "That's the rule." They ate together at the small table. The food was simple but delicious. Sky talked nonstop, asking Kellen about his favorite Christmas memory. He told her about one Christmas when he was 7. His mother had still been around then. She'd made hot chocolate and they'd watched the snow fall together. "That's a good memory," Sky said. "It is." "Now you have a new one," she said. "With us." Kellen looked at Imani. Her eyes were soft, vulnerable. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Now I do." After dinner, they opened gifts. Sky loved the puzzle. Imani's eyes filled when she opened the scarf. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Then Kellen opened Sky's gift. Inside was a drawing. 3 stick figures holding hands under a Christmas tree, carefully colored, framed in cardboard. At the bottom in crooked letters, "Our family." Kellen couldn't speak. Sky watched him nervously. "Do you like it?" He pulled her into a hug. "I love it." She hugged him back tightly. Imani wiped her eyes, smiling through tears, and in that moment, in a small apartment with a crooked tree and homemade gifts, Kellen felt something he hadn't felt in years. Home. After Sky went to bed, Kellen and Imani sat on the couch with coffee. The apartment was quiet. Christmas lights blinked softly on the tree. "Thank you for tonight," Imani said. It meant a lot to her. "It meant a lot to me, too." She looked at him. "Can I ask you something?" "Always." "What are we doing?" she asked. "Really?" Kellen set his cup down. "What do you mean?" "This," she gestured between them. "You're here all the time. You're in our lives. Sky calls you family. But we've never talked about what this actually is." He stayed quiet, letting her continue. "I need to know," Imani said. "Are you here because of her, or because of me too?" Kellen met her eyes. "Both." "That's not an answer." "Yes, it is," he said. "I came into your lives because of Sky, but I'm staying because of both of you." Imani's hands trembled around her cup. "I haven't been with anyone since Marcus died. Haven't wanted to. But lately I catch myself thinking about you. Waiting for your texts, looking forward to seeing you." "And that scares you," Kellen said. "Terrifies me," she admitted. "Because what if this doesn't work? What if we try and it falls apart? Then we deal with it." "It's not that simple. There's Sky to think about." "I know. She already loves you," Imani said, voice breaking. "If we start something and it ends, she loses another father figure." Kellen moved closer. "What if it doesn't end? You can't know that." "You're right, I can't. But I can tell you that I've never felt this way about anyone, and I've never wanted to stay somewhere this badly." Imani looked away, tears spilling. "I'm so tired of being scared." "Then stop," Kellen said gently. "Stop being scared and just let this happen." "What is this exactly?" He reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. "I don't know," he admitted. "But I'd like to find out. With you." She looked at their joined hands. "What if I'm not ready?" "Then I'll wait." "For how long?" "As long as it takes." Imani's breath hitched. "Why? Why would you wait for someone as broken as me?" "You're not broken," Kellen said. "You're grieving. That's different." "I still love him," she whispered. "Marcus, I still love him." "I know. And I'm not asking you to stop." She looked at him, confused. "How can we be together if I still love someone else?" "Because love isn't a limited resource," Kellen said. "You can love him and still let someone else in. Those things don't cancel each other out." Tears streamed down her face. I don't know how to do this. Neither do I. But we can figure it out together. She studied his face, looking for lies, for doubts. She found none. I'm scared, she said. Me too. What if I hurt you? Then I'll hurt, but I'll still be here. She let out a shaky laugh. You're either really brave or really stupid. Probably both. She squeezed his hand. I need time to process this, to figure out what I want. Take all the time you need. And Sky can't know. Not until we're sure. Agreed. They sat in silence, hands still joined. Kellen? Yeah? Thank you for being patient with me. Thank you for letting me in. She leaned her head on his shoulder. He wrapped an arm around her carefully. They stayed like that until the coffee went cold and the Christmas lights dimmed. When Kellen finally left, Imani walked him to the door. Good night, she said softly. He turned back. Good night. They looked at each other, something unspoken hanging between them. Then Imani stood on her toes and kissed his cheek. It was quick, barely there, but it meant everything. Merry Christmas, she whispered. Merry Christmas. He walked to his car, heart racing. That night, lying in bed, he couldn't stop smiling. They hadn't defined anything, hadn't made promises, but something had shifted. The door had opened just a little wider, and for now, that was enough. Across town, Imani lay awake too. She touched her lips where they'd met his cheek. Part of her felt guilty, like she was betraying Marcus's memory. But another part felt something she hadn't felt in over a year. Alive. She looked at the framed photo on her nightstand. Marcus smiling, holding baby Sky. I'll always love you, she whispered. But I think I'm ready to let someone else in. Is that okay? The photo didn't answer. But somehow, in the quiet of the night, she felt like maybe it was. Like maybe Marcus would want her to be happy. Like maybe loving Kellen didn't mean forgetting Marcus. It just meant her heart was big enough for both. She closed her eyes, Kellen's words echoing in her mind. Love isn't a limited resource. Maybe he was right. Maybe she could hold on to the past while reaching for the future. Maybe she could have both. She fell asleep that night with tears on her cheeks. But for the first time in a long time, they weren't just tears of grief. They were tears of hope. 2 weeks into the new year, things shifted. Kellen and Imani started texting more. Late at night after Sky was asleep. Early in the morning before work. Nothing dramatic, just check-ins. Small conversations, but they felt significant. How was your day? Became, I missed you today. Sleep well became, I wish you were here. They still hadn't told Sky anything. She just knew Kellen came, over often, which made her happy. One Saturday, Imani asked if Kellen could watch Sky while she ran errands. Of course, he said, but when she came back 3 hours later, she seemed off. Sky was coloring at the table. Kellen was in the kitchen. Can we talk? Imani asked quietly. Sure. They stepped into the hallway. What's wrong? Kellen asked. Imani's eyes were red. I ran into one of Marcus's friends today. He saw me smiling, laughing on the phone with you. Kellen waited. He asked if I was seeing someone, she continued. I didn't know what to say. So I said no, but he looked at me like I was betraying Marcus's memory just by being happy. You're not, Kellen said firmly. It feels like I am, she whispered. Everyone expects me to stay frozen in grief. Like moving forward means I didn't love him enough. That's not true. Isn't it? Her voice cracked. It's only been a year. Maybe I'm moving too fast? Kellen stepped closer. There's no timeline for grief. No rule that says when you're allowed to be happy again. But what if I'm using you? She asked. What if I'm just trying to fill the hole he left? Are you? She looked at him, tears tears spilling. I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. Kellen took her hands. Imani, look at me. She did. You're allowed to love Marcus and still let me in. You're allowed to grieve and still be happy. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Everyone will judge me. Let them, he said. The only opinions that matter are yours, mine and Sky's. She wiped her eyes. What if I'm not ready? Then tell me. And I'll step back. I don't want you to step back, she said quickly. That's the problem. I want you here, but I feel guilty for wanting it. Then we go slow, Kellen said. We take it one day at a time. No pressure, no expectations. She nodded, breathing shakily. Okay. Okay. She hugged him suddenly. He held her while she cried into his chest. Inside, Sky called out, Mama, where'd you go? Imani pulled back, wiping her face. I'm here, baby. They went back inside. Sky looked between them. Were you crying? She asked. A little, Imani admitted. Why? Just grown-up stuff. I'm okay. Sky walked over and hugged her mother. I love you, Mama. I love you too. Later that night, after Kellen left, Sky climbed into bed with Imani. Mama? Yeah, baby? Do you like Kellen? Imani froze. What do you mean? Like how you liked Daddy. Imani's heart pounded. Why are you asking? Because you smile different now, like you used to. Imani pulled her daughter close. It's complicated. Do you think Daddy would be mad? The question broke her. No, baby. I think Daddy would want us to be happy. Then you should tell Kellen you like him, Sky said simply. It's not that easy. Why not? Because feelings are complicated. Sky thought about this. I think Kellen likes you too. What makes you say that? Because he looks at you the way Daddy used to. Like you're special. Imani's throat tightened. You're very observant. I know, Sky yawned. Can Kellen be my dad for real? Sky, I know he's not Daddy, but maybe he could be something close. Imani didn't know how to respond. We'll see, she finally said. Now sleep. Sky closed her eyes, content with that answer. But Imani lay awake for hours. Her daughter had just given her permission to move forward. But could she give herself that same permission? The next morning she texted Kellen. Can we talk? Just us, without Sky. He replied immediately. When? Tonight, after she's asleep. I'll be there. That night, Kellen arrived at 9. Sky was already in bed. Imani opened the door, nervous. They sat on the couch, the space between them feeling heavier than usual. I've been thinking, Imani started, about what you said. About love not being limited. Kellen listened. I think you're right, she continued. I think I can love Marcus and still have feelings for you, but I need you to understand something. What? I'm damaged, she said. I have bad days. Days where I can't get out of bed. Days where I cry for no reason. Days where I push people away. I can handle that. You say that now. I mean it, Kellen said firmly. I'm not going anywhere because you have hard days. She looked at him, searching his eyes. Why do you want this? Want me? I come with so much baggage. Because I love you, he said. The words hung in the air. Imani's breath caught. What? I love you, Kellen repeated. I didn't plan to, but I do. Tears filled her eyes. You can't love me, you barely know me. I know enough. Kellen, I love how you put Sky first. How you work 3 jobs and never complain. How you're strong even when you're breaking. How you let me in even though it terrified you. She covered her face, sobbing. He moved closer. You don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. She lowered her hands. I'm scared. I know. But I think... She took a shaky breath. I think I love you too. Kellen's heart stopped. I do, she whispered, and that terrifies me. He pulled her into his arms. She cried into his chest while he held her. We're going to be okay, he whispered. Promise? Promise. And for the first time, she believed him. The next morning, Skye noticed something different. Her mom was humming while making breakfast. Kellen arrived early with donuts. They kept glancing at each other when they thought she wasn't looking. Did something happen? Skye asked, biting into a chocolate donut. Like what? Imani asked. You're both acting weird. Happy weird. Kellen and Imani exchanged a look. We need to talk to you about something, Imani said. Skye's eyes widened. Am I in trouble? No, baby, nothing like that. They sat at the table together. Skye clutched Mr. Buttons, sensing this was important. Imani took a breath. You know how Kellen's been coming around a lot? Skye nodded. And you know how much we both care about you? Another nod. Well, Kellen and I have been talking, and we've realized that we care about each other too, not just as friends. Skye looked between them. You mean like boyfriend and girlfriend? Imani smiled nervously. Something like that. How do you feel about that? Skye thought for a moment. Does this mean Kellen will be around more? If that's okay with you, Kellen said, will you still play chess with me? Always. And read me stories? Whenever you want, Skye smiled. Then I think it's good. Imani exhaled with relief. You're sure? Mama, I asked him to be my dad, remember? I wanted this. I know, but things are different now. This is real. Good, Skye said simply. Real is better. Kellen reached across and squeezed Imani's hand. 2 months passed. They took things slow. Kellen came over for dinner 3 times a week. They went to the park on Sundays, watched movies together. He still had his own place, but spent most evenings with them. Skye adjusted quickly. She started calling him Kellen Dad sometimes, then just got embarrassed and went back to Kellen. But the shift was there. He helped with homework, attended school events, picked her up when Imani worked late. One day, Skye came home with a school form. We're supposed to draw our family, she said. Can I draw all 3 of us? Imani's throat tightened. Of course, baby. What about Daddy? Should I draw him too? Imani knelt down. If you want to. Your daddy will always be part of our family. Skye nodded seriously. Okay. I'll draw him in the sky. Like he's watching. She worked on the drawing for an hour. When she was done, she showed them. 4 figures. 3 on the ground holding hands. 1 in the clouds above them. That's us, she said, pointing. And that's Daddy making sure we're okay. Kellen's eyes burned. Imani pulled her daughter close. It's perfect. That night, after Skye went to bed, Kellen stayed later than usual. I've been thinking, he said. About what? About moving things forward. Making this more official. Imani's heart raced. Official how? I want to be here. Really here. Not just visiting. But I don't want to rush you. Are you asking to move in? Eventually. When you're ready. Imani looked at him. 6 months ago, she couldn't imagine letting anyone into her life like this. Now she couldn't imagine him not being here. What about Skye? She asked. She's part of the decision. All 3 of us have to be ready. Imani thought about it. About waking up with him there. About not saying goodbye at the door every night. Ask me again in 3 months, she said. Okay. But Kellen? Yeah? I think the answer will be yes. He smiled and kissed her forehead. That's all I need to hear. 3 months later, Kellen brought up the subject again. They were at the park. Skye was on the swings. Have you thought about it? He asked. Every day, Imani admitted. And? She looked at her daughter, then at him. I think we're ready. You're sure? I'm terrified. But yes, I'm sure. Kellen exhaled, relief flooding through him. When? End of the month? Perfect. They told Sky that night. Kellen's going to live with us, Imani said. How do you feel about that? Sky's face lit up. Really? Really, Kellen confirmed. She ran to him and hugged him tight. Does this mean you're officially my dad now? Kellen looked at Imani. She nodded, eyes wet. He knelt down to Sky's level. If that's what you want. It is, she said firmly. Then yes, he said, voice breaking. I'm your dad. Sky buried her face in his shoulder, crying happy tears. Imani watched them, hand over her mouth, overwhelmed. This was it. They were becoming a family, not replacing what was lost, but building something new from the pieces that remained. Moving day was chaotic. Kellen didn't have much. Most of his furniture stayed at his place. He just brought clothes, personal items, and the drawing Sky made him at Christmas. He hung it in the living room. Our family, the label read. That night they ate dinner together at the small table. Kellen's stuff was still in boxes, but it didn't matter. After Sky went to bed, Kellen and Imani stood in the kitchen. This is really happening, she whispered. Are you having second thoughts? No, just processing. He wrapped his arms around her. We're going to be okay. I know. I love you, he said. I love you too. They stood there, holding each other, both terrified and hopeful, building a future neither of them planned, but both of them wanted. 3 months after Kellen moved in, Sky woke up screaming. It was 2 a.m. Both Kellen and Imani bolted out of bed. Imani got there first, but Sky was calling for Kellen. Where's Kellen? I need Kellen. He appeared in the doorway. I'm here. Sky reached for him, sobbing. He sat on her bed and pulled her close. I dreamed you left, she cried. Just like Daddy. You were there and then you were gone. I'm not going anywhere, he said firmly. You promise? I promise. She clung to him, shaking. Imani stood in the doorway, watching. Can you stay? Sky whispered. Just until I fall asleep? Of course. He laid down beside her. She curled into his side, gripping his shirt. Imani mouthed, "Thank you," and left them alone. Kellen stayed until her breathing slowed, until her grip loosened, until she was deeply asleep. When he returned to their room, Imani was sitting up in bed. She's never asked for me like that during a nightmare, Imani said quietly. Does that bother you? No, it's just different. She used to only want me. Kellen sat beside her. She still needs you. She'll always need you. I know, but she needs you too now. And that's new. Is that okay? Imani smiled, sadly. It's more than okay. It's what I wanted for her. Someone else who loves her like I do. I do love her, Kellen said, like she's mine. Imani's eyes filled. I know you do. The next day, Sky was quiet. At breakfast, she pushed her cereal around without eating. What's wrong, baby? Imani asked. Nothing. Sky. She looked up, eyes red. Am I bad for loving Kellen? Imani's heart broke. What? No. Why would you think that? Because I had a daddy, and now I have Kellen. Does that mean I'm replacing him? Imani knelt beside her chair. No, sweetheart, you're not replacing anyone. But I called Kellen Dad yesterday, out loud, at school, and I felt bad, like I was being mean to real Daddy. Kellen had been listening from the kitchen. He came over and knelt too. Sky, look at me, he said gently. She did. Your daddy will always be your daddy. Nothing changes that. I'm not here to replace him. Then what are you? I'm someone who loves you, who wants to take care of you, but your daddy is still your daddy. Can I love both? She asked. Yes, Kellen said firmly. Your heart is big enough for both. Like Mama? He glanced at Imani. Exactly like Mama. Sky wiped her eyes. Okay. Okay. I'll love both. But different. That's perfect, Imani said, pulling her into a hug. That evening, Sky made an announcement at dinner. I have something to say. Kellen and Imani exchanged a glance. Kellen, I want to call you Dad, but I want to call real Daddy something special. So he stays different. What do you want to call him? Imani asked. My heaven daddy. And Kellen is my earth daddy. Imani covered her mouth, tears spilling. Kellen's voice was thick. I'd be honored to be your earth daddy. Sky smiled. Good. Because that's what I'm telling everyone now. 2 weeks later, Kellen came home with papers. What's that? Imani asked. Adoption papers. I want to make it official, legally, if you're both okay with it. Imani stared at him. You want to adopt her? Yes, I want to be her father in every way that matters. Kellen, that's huge. I know, but I'm ready. If you are, if she is. They told Sky that night. Her eyes went wide. Adoption? Like forever? Like forever, Kellen said. So you'll really be my dad? On paper and everything? Yes. She looked at her mom. Can we do it? Imani smiled through tears. If you want to. I do, Sky said. I really, really do. The process took 3 months. Forms, interviews, background checks, court dates. Finally, the day came. They stood in a courtroom. The judge, a kind woman in her 50s, looked at them warmly. Sky, do you understand what's happening today? Sky nodded seriously. Kellen is becoming my dad officially. And is that what you want? Yes. Why? Sky thought carefully. Because he showed up. When I asked him to be my dad, he said yes, and he never left. Not even when things were hard. The judge smiled. That's a very good reason. She signed the papers. Congratulations. Kellen Ward is now legally Sky's father. The courtroom erupted in quiet cheers. Imani cried. Kellen pulled Sky into his arms. I'm your dad now, he whispered. You were always my dad, she said. This just makes it real. Outside the courthouse, they took pictures. Sky held the adoption certificate proudly. Can we get ice cream? She asked. Absolutely, Kellen said. They went to the same ice cream truck from their first park visit. Sky got chocolate again, made a mess again. But this time, when Kellen wiped her face, she called him Dad without hesitation. Thanks, Dad. He smiled, the word hitting him in the chest every single time. Anytime, sweetheart. Imani watched them together, heart full. She thought about Marcus, about how much he would have loved this moment, how he would have approved of Kellen. She whispered to the sky, Thank you for sending him. And somehow, in the warmth of the afternoon sun, she felt like Marcus heard her, like he was smiling too, because his daughter was loved, protected, happy, and that's all he ever wanted. That night, Sky fell asleep between them on the couch. Kellen carried her to bed, tucked her in, kissed her forehead. Good night, Dad, she murmured, half asleep. Good night, sweetheart. When he returned, Imani was waiting. You okay? She asked. Better than okay, he said. She took his hand. You're officially a dad now. I know. He smiled. Feels right. It is right, she whispered. And in that moment, everything was. 1 year later, they returned to Riverton Crest, the same restaurant where it all began. Kellen reserved the same table, the one where he'd sat alone, rejected and broken. This time, he wasn't alone. Sky wore her red dress, the same one from that first night, though it was getting tight. Imani wore a simple black dress and her hair down. Kellen wore a suit but felt nothing like the man who'd sat here before. They walked in together. The hostess smiled. Welcome back, Mr. Ward. Your table is ready. Sky looked around, eyes wide. This place is fancy. It is, Kellen agreed, but it's special to us. Why? Because this is where I met you. Sky grinned. Oh yeah, I walked right up to you. You did. And I asked if you were sad. You did that too. They sat at the table. Sky immediately grabbed a breadstick. Imani looked at Kellen across the table. Hard to believe it's been a year. Feels longer, he said. In a good way? In the best way. The server approached. They ordered. Sky asked for spaghetti and got sauce on her dress within minutes. Some things never change, Imani laughed. After dinner, Kellen cleared his throat. I want to say something. Both